Hey folks, what's up? Welcome back to another Pokemaster video, and today I thought we'd, I don't know, woke up, let's commit some controversy, shall we? So, today we're gonna rank, all the Pokefairs that we've had so far, all the Pokefairs in 2020, which all of them came in 2020. I mean, our first, Pokefairs, I mean, was it like the 31st? I mean, whatever. Pokefairs were introduced in 2020 for the most part, right? And I thought we'd just go over them and see which ones, maybe are slightly better, which ones maybe slightly worse. Although, to be fair, right, all of them are really, really good. There really isn't, like, a bad one, objectively. It's just comparatively, there are apparently some issues with some, right? Yeah, as usual, obviously, completely subjective, right? Just my takes. I know some people like to get worked up about stuff like this. Please don't. I mean, like, it's really not worth your time to get worked up about, like, someone else's, like, tier list on what they think about the units, right? It's like it's probably not good for your health and not worth your time, right? I mean, you could probably go do something else instead, right? Eat a potato. That's very productive for the most part. I mean, if you like potatoes. If you don't like them, then maybe not. Are they healthy? I actually don't know. Anyways, whatever. Let's get into the list, right? So, all right. How are we gonna do this? I actually haven't thought about how we should start this. I probably should have thought about that before I hit that record button. Let's just go. I don't know. Let's just go from. Let's just start from the top, honestly. So the top, there wasn't really too much. Like the first few tiers or whatever, the first few rankings, there wasn't like too much you know like conflict, right? I mean, it's pretty clear who like the top few ones are, for the most part. The only like slight issue was like number 1 and number 2, right? In terms of like who's better, because number 1 and number 2 is clearly, Singsu Blue and Singsu Leaf, right? These two. If you asked me 3 months ago, I'd say Singsu Leaf. But now I do think Singsu Blue, because a few things. I do think Singsu Blue got a bit better with time. And also the other thing with Singsu Blue is the Synchro update really helped them a lot, right? The Synchro update really helped them a lot. Honestly, I thought Pep Rally was a godsend for Singsu Blue, right? And that's fantastic. And the reason why Singsu Leaf maybe not as much anymore, right? Is there are some units that kind of do what Singsu Leaf does now, a bit more, right? And we still don't have that many, consistent physical buffers, right? That aren't extremely slow. I mean, Singsu Blue is really slow too, though. But yeah. These two are, again, very, very, very good both on their own, right? Singsu Blue also is getting potentially May as well, right? If you're running like again, May is fantastic, right? So if you're like running May with Singsu Blue also gets like a damage buff as well with the extra rain, and you can run Rain Grid on Singsu Blue, which is fantastic, right? Which is what you really want to be running with Singsu Blue, right? Like Singsu Blue, if you run like it and on a rain team, it's incredibly powerful, right? So there's that. And Singsu Leaf, there's a few things, obviously. The healing is massive, right? The healing is absolutely massive. The defense debuffs are really, really good as well. I do think it's something overlooked. In my opinion, the poison thing is slightly overrated, but I mean, it's still something, right? Singsu Leaf's damage is incredible. Once we do get a grassy terrain unit, by the way, Singsu Leaf out damages like a lot of, like, in your mind, you'd think, the top strikers in the game, right? Like a lot of these like really, really, really powerful strikers. Singsu Leaf actually like straight up out damages them, and it's kind of funny. So, yeah, moving on to number 3 in the spot. This one's pretty easy as well. I mean, there really isn't too much again issue over that. It's obviously Steven. Steven's just overall probably the best striker in the game. It's just incredibly versatile. It's funny because Steven, like, of all the Pokefairs here, I think Steven does the least amount of damage. Actually, does Steven do more damage, or does Komodo do more damage? Let me check real quick. 574. Yeah. Komodo does more damage than Steven. Steven does the least amount of damage among all the Pokefairs here. Or I mean, I think does Singsu Blue and Singsu Leaf do more damage than Steven? Let's see. Yeah, not really. Well, Singsu Leaf does. Singsu Blue also kind of does, but I mean, it's not really great to do that. But yeah, Singsu, or not Singsu, Steven's damage is not that great. However, it does have some insane capabilities, right? Which is why it makes it good. It's because Steven's not really like a striker and more like a tech, is why he's so crazy, right? He has recuperation, which is one of the most broken skills in the game, right? He has really, really good defenses. He has aggravation on Iron Head, which is another incredibly broken skill, right? On top of that, again, even though like his damage is like, you can't really compare it to like a lot of the four gauge strikers, which by the way, all the Pokefairs except for Steven and Cynthia are 4 gauge strikers, right? But yes, Steven, again, even though it's not like comparable to like any of the other ones, like it's not like his damage is bad. His damage is still good, right? He also has Haymaker on the sync move, which is really, really good as well. Like just overall, like absolutely fantastic unit. It's probably impossible to like lose any stage with Steven, honestly. This guy's just incredibly busted. Slightly overpowered. Not sure why they made him so powerful, but okay. I mean, I'll take it. I mean, it's Steven, so that's cool. Anyways, moving on. Next one, I'd say pretty clearly Singsu Red, right? Singsu Red, upsides, right? Really good burst damage for the most part, right? Unfortunately, out of the top one, but it's still really, really good, right? One thing that really, really annoys me. One thing that really, really annoys me about Singsu Red players, you guys got to run him in Sun. You got to run him in Sun. Like, if you're not running Singsu Red and Sun, you're just missing out on a free 50% more damage, right? Like, why are people not running him in Sun? Run the guy in Sun. He's so good in Sun. Not only does he get, the extra 50%, buff and damage, he also gets charging Sun too, which, as a 4-gauge striker, that's definitely appreciated, right? Like, run the guy in Sun, man. I don't know what you guys are doing. Like, especially, like, if you run, like, him and, like, Singsu Leaf, right, on the same team. Like, you could run, like, a Sun Grid on Singsu Leaf as well, right? That's really, really good. I don't know why people aren't running him in Sun. It's driving me crazy. Again, fantastic in Sun, right? Sync Grid's kind of but he's a really, really good base unit, which is nice, right? I don't know. Red, Unga Bunga big damage. It's pretty self-explanatory. Is there anything else to really talk about him? He can burn on Heat Wave. Not really. No one cares about that. But yeah, really good unit overall. One underrated thing about Red that I don't see people talking about enough is like he gets like self crit buffs on his sync move, which is actually really, really nice because you could essentially completely have him set up if you're not running a support, right? Like on like turn 3, so you get like max crit on your sync move as well, which is really nice. And also if you are using him in Balvilla, that's again free +1 crit without using MP, which is also really, really nice. So yeah, there's that. Moving on. So the really like clear and like relatively easy rankings are basically these. Starting from here, it starts getting a bit murky and very, very opinionated, right? So, well, maybe not here. Maybe after this one, right? Because I forgot. Cynthia's here. Cynthia, big damage, right? Obviously, earthquake damage, really, really big. But that's obviously not why. If that's like the only trait Cynthia has, Cynthia's not being on here. The really, really fantastic thing about Cynthia is she has fantastic defenses. Like, you could legitimately run like a tank Garchomp, and that's a completely just legitimate team comp, right? Because like Garchomp's has good physical defense, solid HP, right, for striker, and then special defense, it doesn't seem too high, but once you throw in Sand Screen, that's an extra 50% in your special defense. You have Soothing Sand, you heal during Sandstorm. Like, you could legitimately also run it as a tank in like some kind of like 3 or double striker team comp, right, with like Acerola and then like Lycanroc, right, to fix Garchomp's sync move issue. And by that I mean her sync move is terrible. It's not like that bad, but it's not good. But yeah, obviously really good damage, and also just really great speed as well, right? Yeah, really nothing bad to talk about here, right? Another, Cynthia's the other 3 gauge striker on this list, right outside of Stephen. So that's nice. Anyways, moving on. Where's Alder? I forgot to bring Alder in here. There's Alder. Yeah. Again, starting from here, it starts getting a bit murky, right? And very much opinionated. And I assume a lot of people will not agree because this was hard. This was hard. But I do think Alder's the next one. Here's the thing with Alder. Really big damage. Does even more damage than Lance once you like fully set it up, and it's really hard to do more damage than Lance, right? Lance's damage is off the charts. The thing why I put Alder over Lance, which even though you do need a bit of setup, which is slightly lame, Alder's upsides are really great, right? Alder, well, since where is it? Volcarona does have over 300 speed, right? Volcarona on top of that has +2 speed on the trainer move, and Volcarona on the passive has Rejuvenate 6. So you could legitimately run like a 2 or even 3 like I uploaded a video earlier today, if you guys haven't checked it out, with a 3-striker team comp, right? Which obviously is amazing just damage output, right? So you could legitimately run like 2-striker, 3-striker team comp with Volcarona, right? And not only like do you have like really solid stuff with Hyper Beam, like when you're facing something that you're super effective against, Struggle Bug is also a very good option, being like a 2-gauge AoE move, right? So that's really nice as well. Good HP. Defenses are kind of suspect. Like physically, like you're not that great, right? Special defense not that bad because you also do buff your special defense to an extent. But yeah, just overall, really good damage. Like fantastic damage on your Hyper Beam, and really good damage on your Sync move as well. Which is something Lance can't really say, unfortunately. Right? So like when we're like evaluating between like Alder and Lance, again, upsides, downsides. Lance does more immediate damage out the gate, right? Alder does need a bit of setup. Alder does Alder's so much quicker, right? You could more reliably run multiple striker with Alder, and not so much with Lance, unfortunately. But Lance also has potions, which is incredibly powerful in this game, right? And again, Alder does more damage eventually once it's set up, right? All that stuff. And also has a much better sync move because it's not physical special split. So yeah, there's that. Anyways, moving on. Next up, probably Gloria, right? Again, like between Alder, Gloria, and Lance, like there kind of are like tiers to this, right? So like first of all, like you kind of sort of got like these two up here, and then like these are like the next tier, and then like Alder, Gloria, and Lance probably next, right? And as you can see, these two are at the bottom, unfortunately. So that's basically how it sort of goes. But I did opt to put Gloria ahead of Lance a bit. I just really like double strikers. I think it's really like the amount of damage output you get per turn is so incredible, right? And Zacian does that very well because she has almost like 400 speed, right? Well, I mean, she does have 400 speed, I think, at level 130, so there's that, I guess. Good attack stat. Behemoth Blade gets that extra 1.5 times boost after the opponent sinks, which, again, is a slight downside because it takes a bit, right? I mean, it doesn't take too long, but it definitely, it takes time. But, yeah, you could just legitimately just run Double Striker with Zacian, which is really nice. And like you got like move gauge refresh 4, and then you got 2 MGRs on Behemoth Blade. Like it's absolutely crazy the amount of speed and gauge you could get from Zacian. And the other really nice thing about Zacian is you also have like fairy type coverage. So not only is it Behemoth Blade steel type coverage, you also got fairy type coverage with play rough as well. So that's also really nice to have. Solid defenses, decent HP, right, for striker. And also is fantastic in Battle Villa, by the way. I cleared Battle Villa with no resets for for the badge thing with Gloria, right? That was my only striker I used throughout, and she's incredible in Valhalla, right? Anyways, yeah, Lance. Big damage. Like, Lance's Hyper Beam damage is, like, definitely among the top over here, right? And these are, some really fierce competition, right? Incredibly high damage straight out the gate, which is really good, obviously, right? And the other really great thing about Dragonite is you got two potion MP refreshes, and potion obviously incredibly broken in this game. So like if you're running Lance, you basically don't need to run a healer at all, right? So that's really good. There are some downsides. He is a bit slow, right? Like, he's not like incredibly slow, but like he's not fast either, unfortunately. He's a bit slow, and like the speed isn't like incredibly slow, but like unlike some like the other sync pitches, you just don't have anything to like remedy it, unfortunately. Other than like if you pick up Rejuvenate, but like here's the thing, you don't really want to sync with Lance. Lance's sync move isn't that great. Unless you're like running Sings of Blue and like you get like +6 attack, but that's gonna take a long time, and it's very RNG because Sings of Blue is very RNG, right? But yeah, the sync move's not that great, unfortunately. But like it's Hyper Beam just does so much damage, right? If we ranked, I know a lot of people think, oh, Lance is worse than Pokefair, but like if you look at the numbers, Lance's damage is just way too high to like rank him any lower, unfortunately. So there's that, I guess. Anyways, moving on. And also potion is just way too valuable, right? Also, you have health healing, which is cool, but potion is just so valuable. Like if you have like 2 potion MP refreshes, I can't rank you any lower, right? Potion MP refresh is incredibly valuable. Anyways, moving on. Last 2 in between these 2, that's kind of tough. But I do think N is slightly better, unfortunately. And I love Singsu Cynthia, right? It's like as good as Lance is, Singsu Cynthia is always my go-to striker because she's really fun to play with. She's incredibly fun, right? But I do think N is slightly better, and N does really good damage in Electric Terrain. The really annoying thing about N is N's team sucks. N's team is terrible, right? Unfortunately. Obviously both N and Vulcan are fantastic. The issue lies with the support. With N, you need a crit support that also gives you a bit of attack, right? And the options are not great, right? If you think, oh, Lily Bee, that's a really good one, right? You could tank with Lily Bee, you give crit, you could whatever else, right? Here's the thing with that. The team does not have enough speed. Zekrom just kills its team with its speed, right? 189 speed, it's terrible. It's just absolutely atrocious. And then you also have you do have stuff that like sort of like helps with it, right? You do have the +2 or +4 speed on your trainer move, and you have the sync freebie, which after you sync, you get basically a free a gauge free move. It doesn't fix it, unfortunately. You just have to be really lucky with your move gauge refreshes to make it sustainable, and obviously that's not reliable, right? It's just unfortunate. You just don't have enough. Like your just support options are really bad. Obviously, the other one's Phoebe, and we also know Phoebe is incredibly slow as well. Phoebe is as slow as Zekrom, unfortunately. Your other option is Singsu Blue, but Singsu Blue you need RNG, right? For the MP refresh onto the top. Also again unreliable. And just N's team is just not that great, unfortunately, and it doesn't really do anything too special outside of just good electric type damage, which is really good, right? I mean, that's again, we're not trying to count N out here. I do think he's slightly underrated, slightly, but yeah, he's good. He just has like some downsides that really suck, unfortunately. And as for Suit, Cynthia, and Kamo, again, I love Kamo. She's my like favorite Dragon type unit to use. Her downsides is just like when you're not hitting 3 units at the same time, right? When you're not using her AOE as an AOE, if you're using her single as her AoE as a single target move. If you're only hitting one opponent, her damage is bad, right? Her damage is really, really low, unfortunately, which is kind of sad. There are some really, really great things about her, I do think. You, again, even though, like, it's really, really slow, right? You could potentially get +6 speed in, like, 3 sync move cycles once you pick up high 5-1, and also +6 special defense, +6 special attack, +6 attack, even though you don't need it. And a lot of people, talk about, oh, well, she lowers her defense with the clanging skills. Her defense is terrible. That's not true. That's not true at all. You only get -1 defense per sync move cycle, and that's what and here's what I mean, right? So first of all, when you start out the game, you're buffing, right? X special attack. Either you want to clanging scales or buff your crit with that, right? And then once you sync, you get +2 defenses, right? You get +2 defenses, and then afterwards you use 3 clanging scales. That's -3 defenses. So it's not -3 defenses. It's only -1 defenses because you had +2 defenses before, right? And then you go up to +1 defense, right? So like, and then you go to -2 defense, and then you're at +0 defense, and you're minus. Every sync move cycle, you're only getting like -1 defense. It's not as bad as people think it is, right? I think it's incredibly overstated. I don't think it's bad at all, and I do think honestly, you just bring crit strike is just straight up better than unbending. I don't think unbending is necessary or even good at all on her, right? Again, solid. Like, it's not like her damage is bad. Like, once you are facing a plethora of units, right? The Latios stage is a really, really great example. If you're hitting AoE, obviously her damage is through the charts, right? But outside of that, she really doesn't have that much. Like, her training move is kind of right? Obviously, sync move acceleration is, I mean, it's good, I guess, but like, it's just like not really great to achieve. You have to wait till your HP is lower, and that usually comes later in the game, and you don't want to wait for that. Right? Because you want to get your crit up ASAP. You want to, as much as possible, get the sync move. I mean, if you could get like -3 sync move countdown, that's fantastic, right? Outside of like getting -3 sync move countdown, it's basically worthless. So there's that as well, unfortunately. But yeah, I mean, again, slow speed, not great. Like, she just takes a while to get going, right? She takes a while to get going. And even once she does get going, it's just overall not as great as like any of the others, I guess, for the most part. But she's still really, really good, right? Again, my favorite Dragon type unit to use in the game. Incredibly fun. I'm just saying Lance is kind of boring. But Lance, again, very, very good, right? Potions, Hybrid Beam, obviously very, very powerful unit. You're just kind of boring. So anyways, that's maybe this one. I guess hope you guys enjoy. Let me guys in the comments down below. Like and enjoy this video, subscribe to the channel for some more cool masses content. I'll see you guys in the next one.